Groot's player with about 40 hours in the game, give or take. Currently in Diamond 2, so take everything what I say with a grain of salt. But I like to say I'm a decent Groot's player who can win most of his games confidently with getting most MVPs, and I have about like a 65% win rate. So currently and able to steadily climb up the ranks. So that's enough about me now, though. We should start working on the tips for Groot. As Groot, you gotta play a little bit closer to the enemies, as your main attack is very close range, and your walls can't really go very far. So typically, you want to try and get quite a bit closer, and then mainly using your wooden walls. So you can use your stronger walls to wall in the tanks and make sure they can't get healed, because their supports can't really break those walls. So they're going to have to rely on their DPS that might be in your back line at the moment, or just doing other things. While we're on the topic of DPS, though, like if their DPS is like the characters that like to jump in your back line and are constantly after your healers, you can easily try and isolate those players too, not just their tanks. Their DPS is very easy to kill. They have a lot less HP, so usually you can block those guys from getting healed, and they most likely won't be able to go back and get healed from their healers. If you just put a wall behind them, you can easily kill them. To ensure the players that you go for cannot escape, though, you gotta kind of place your wall a little bit farther back behind them, because a lot of times if you place it right below them, or maybe a little bit in front of them, where if they can walk on top of the wall and it will get placed right underneath them, and they will just go all the way to the top of the wall. So to ensure that doesn't happen, you might need to place the wall a little bit farther back to ensure that they cannot escape. Careful using your stronger wall that is metal, more like. It has a timer that's much longer than the other ones, and also you can only use it once when it's placed down, and if you don't pick it back up, it will just forever be on that timer, and you will not get your wall back until it is broken or you pick it back up. There's also tech with both walls, where if you place it right directly underneath you, you can climb up higher walls, or walls that you would not be able to climb otherwise by jumping or whatever. And if you place it right under you, you'll get teleported on top of your wall completely, and you can get up there just that little bit extra height. With your wooden wall, you can slant it, and it will give you a little bit more height. But if you're too close to a wall, or maybe you just need to immediately escape, placing a wall right underneath you will give you that little bit of extra height, which you can get behind either their Groot wall, or even escape in a lot of dangerous situations, which you might not be able to otherwise. You don't have to use this tech just to run away or defend yourself or whatever. You can also use it to get more aggressive angles, as in, even if you want to, the enemy might be able to get away if you, since you're a little slow of a character and they're in like a higher place, you won't probably be able to go up a staircase to chase at the guy. The guy will probably just be able to run away. If you just place it right underneath you, you can get up there right in the guy's face immediately, and they won't really realize it that you can do that, since most players don't really know about this tech just yet. You can also use it as a double wall. You can place your wall right under you twice with the wooden wall. As with the armored wall, you can only place it once right under you, but you can't place the wooden walls on top of the armored wall. It just won't allow you. Just the wooden wall, you can place it twice underneath you, and you can get a little bit of a height boost. I think we have fully covered the walls now. That we can go on to his ult and his right click. His right click, you can't really do much. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's a ball that explodes. You want to use it whenever they're more grouped up, but I mean, you don't need to use it when they're grouped up. If you need that just little bit extra damage, where their healer might not be able to heal them in time. That little extra tiny damage might be able to get you that kill. But his ultimate is a little bit more uh, iffy, where you can use it in much different situations. Whether you shouldn't be too greedy with how you ult and how many you ult. If there's too many of them, you probably won't be able to kill them. They're gonna all be next to each other. The healers are gonna be able to heal them. It doesn't matter. So you really just want to ult maybe 2 or 3 people, or unless if there's no tank. If there's no tank, you might be able to kill them all, since your right click does do quite a bit of damage. I'd say about like 50 to like maybe 70 damage. So if they're all grouped up, you might be able to kill them all. Or if your teammates also help, it will help quite a bit. But with your ult, you definitely don't want to be using it just by yourself, since you typically won't do enough DPS to out DPS a healer, let's say, or just if they might just be able to kill you if you're by yourself. Ult or tank, or maybe even sometimes their healers, you might get slept, or their shield can actually block your ult entirely. Where if a Doctor Strange is holding out their shield, or if Magneto or someone is holding out a shield, it will completely stop the ult, and it will not ult anybody at all. It will just be dead, and you will no longer have an ult. Also, a lot of times where it might be overtime, or maybe they're just on point. You can't really get them off point, and you need them to not secure it real quick. You can also ult outside of point, and it will attract the enemies and pull them away from point, which it has saved me a couple games now, where if I just ult behind the objective and it's overtime, and I just need that split second, or maybe like it almost gives you the entire time of overtime, where if you just ult outside of point, it will kick them out, and will make sure they can't secure point. It will just give you that few extra seconds to get it. Last thing I wanted to talk about was Jeff and uh, the raccoon. I forget his name, but Rocky Raccoon. There it is. Those will massively help you to keep you alive. It gives you quite a bit of damage resistance, and that doesn't mean you should be more necessarily aggressive with it, but it allows you to take much farther up into their faces, and uh, make sure that they can't really kill you, because you always will have a healer on top of your head if there's a Rocket Raccoon, or a Jeff the Shark, the land shark, is on your team. It will keep you alive for so much longer. You're able to take so many more hits, and it will further boost how long you're able to stay alive. Even though you might be able to stay alive longer, being in their faces does not mean there might not be like a Black Panther or something behind you killing your entire team. So if your entire team's with you, it's fine to get in their face. But whenever there's an enemy team member in your back line, you might want to stay farther back and help your team out. Make sure they can't get in your back line and kill all of you guys, because you don't have a healer or a tank to really help out. You need to be there with your team no matter what, especially whenever you have them on your team. I think it's time to wrap up the video here. This is more of a guide about Groot rather than a tank, and you know, a, Groot has more of a wall, and he's a little bit more different of a guide or character than the other tanks, since his wall is much more potential rather than a shield, where you can just stop attacks, where your wall can stop players completely. The game is still relatively new though, so everything that I've been talking about in this video might not be as effective in the future, maybe in a couple months or in a year or so. But we're gonna end this here. If you liked the video, please hit that sub button and make sure to drop a like. This channel is still really small, and we would like to grow it.